And we're live. And we are here today to talk about how to protect your long-term revenue in long-term contracts. But when I'm saying long-term, that could be 3 months. That could be a year long. That could be a 30-year-long contract. You've signed it. You've got that revenue coming in the door, and out of nowhere, it's gone. All of it. Today, we're going to talk about the number one way that your clients can take your revenue right out the door. No matter where you are in the project, no matter where they are in payments, it's done and it's legal. So, in case you don't know who I am, my name is Acacia Thornton. I'm the CEO Legal Coach, and this is the Aligned Business Series. This is the series where we give real life business stories, what business owners are going through out there that is often accepted as part of the norm. But whoever said it was? Because it's a longtime business advisor and attorney who's worked with solopreneurs, startups, with the Wells Fargo Center for Small Business, and then been senior legal counsel for Fortune 500s. I can tell you that there's a big difference in our mindsets when we are in our early phases or smaller size businesses than those medium and large companies. And this is one of them. This is something that happens to a majority of small and new business owners. That revenue goes right out the door. And it's a hard lesson to learn, but it's totally preventable. Totally preventable. So much so that the medium and big companies, they never deal with this at all because they know it's preventable. They've already put the block in there, which is great. So today we're going to have a live Q&A. I want you guys to find your chat because I see some of you already have it. Hey, Mark. And we're also going to tell you 2 real stories. These are real stories that are happening out there. But before we do that, I want to just even say, how does this even happen? Why would a client sign a 6-month, a 6-year contract with you and then walk out the door in a matter of no time? Look, nobody can predict the future, right? You can't predict the future 5 years from now. They can't either. And they shift their priorities. Their priorities are going to be different than yours over the term of that agreement. Some of it might be hearted, like warm-hearted spaces. Maybe they've grown. Maybe they're adding a new product. Maybe they have new management leadership, a new investor. Maybe they got purchased. Some really exciting things can happen, and they just don't want to do business with you anymore for whatever reason. But other times it could be they had bankruptcy, or your competitor came in and undercut you mid-contract. That one happens a lot. And see, that's the thing about the type of situation we're going to talk about today. The client never has to tell you why. They never have to tell you why. They just have to tell you goodbye. That's what makes these so painful and why I want to make sure that all of you are aware that you could just totally fix this. And of course, I'll show you how to fix it. Of course. So yeah, it's called termination or termination for convenience particularly, but we're going to look at it at a few different levels. And its impact on business owners is that revenue you thought was locked down. You're like, hey, I have a 5-year contract. I have 5 years of pricing in here. We've got the pricing terms. We've got the milestones. We've got the deliverables. We have the deadlines for all the payment. None of that matters if there's this particular sentence in there. If this sentence is in there, the client can literally just say, we're done. And you lose all of it. So you miss that predictable revenue you thought was coming in. It also means you carry all the risk. You carry all the risk. So many times in service-based companies, whether that's consulting, whether you're doing like software as a service, you're making apps, or you're onboarding, there's an upfront element, some customization, an onboarding, a training. Maybe you're customizing the product. Maybe you're doing research to get it going. You're the one carrying all of that. And then if they pull that revenue out from under you 3 months in, you never got to finish your part of the value exchange. You gave more upfront, so therefore they got to take more upfront without this warning. It also can feel like it just devalues your service, right? It kind of positions you as a commodity. If somebody can just come along and grab you and let you go whenever you want, it's almost like fast food. Like if you're in the mood, you grab it. If not, you give it back. No big deal. Well, that's not so great for you. And it's going to start to affect you as a business owner. right? Your heart space in that, your confidence in that. Why did my client just keep going? Like they were here. I thought everything was great. And that's the truth. You may have done everything right. Everything may have been perfect to the extent that it could have been. But that doesn't mean that the other side doesn't change their mind. And this is the other part of this type of impact on business owners. Is it's one thing to lose a client, but oftentimes things impact industries as a whole, which means you're likely to lose a chunk, if not all of your clients all at once, because this sentence is probably in all of your client contracts. If you haven't taken the time to customize it or just be aware of it and make it yours, it's in every one of your client contracts. So if you have 10 clients right now and they all have that, you can lose all 10 of them at once. So let me tell you a couple client stories. These are definitely real world stories. One was a sales rep for a pretty big company. He was all excited because the sales reps always have like sales quotas. And he's like, gosh, I got this big deal. They're signing 6 years. They're signing 6 years. Usually most companies would sign 1, 2, maybe 3 years. So a 6-year deal was like a big deal. It was like double the quota, he was just totally pumped. And he's like, they're ready to sign. I got the pricing done. This is going to be great. I just need to add the sentence. And I was like, what sentence? And he's like, the client wants to add this sentence. And I was like, you don't want that sentence. He's like, well, why not? I'm like, because then you don't have a 6-year deal. What was the sentence? The sentence is either party can terminate by giving written notice within 30 days. Either party may terminate this agreement upon 30-day written notice. Sounds harmless, right? You're like, no, they're signing up for 6 years and they're not going to go anywhere. But sure enough, 90 days in, they triggered that clause. They just gave notice and they were out. The money was gone because they could. What seemed like a simple sentence, it's just a sentence, a little red line, no big deal. Throw it in the agreement just to close the deal. Well, it really meant that there was no deal. And so the company had to go back and look at accounting and fix the quotas, and all the stuff that was planned as real revenue for 6 years wasn't anymore because the client had pulled out in 90 days. This also happens in generic contracts. And this is where I see it the most in small and newer businesses. Is almost every single generic contract that you can download online, particularly the free ones or anything you get off of AI, they standardize and try to make it seem mutual. And they have almost that exact same line. Either party may terminate this agreement by giving 30-day notice. That's what that means. The other party can terminate by giving 30-day notice, no matter where you are in your deliverables, no matter where you are in your revenue. That's it. There's no early termination fee. There's none of the things we're going to look at here in a second. So if you have a generic template, or in other words, if you have not customized a template for yourself, particularly this clause, this is likely to be in your templates, which is why I want to highlight it for you so you can do something about it. So these are called termination clauses. Now, termination clauses can actually be great for both parties when they are customized, because sometimes you want your customers to leave early. Maybe they're going through bankruptcy or a hard time. You don't want to have to be required to continue delivering to them if they can't pay, right? You want to be able to get out of that agreement, but you don't want it to be for any reason. You want it to be for certain reasons. You also might want to, maybe a client comes along, like the first story I told you, the sales rep was like, hey, the client wants to add this. Cool. Why? Why are they not able to fully commit to that 6 years? That one was a 6-year contract. What is it that their concern might come up? Oh, we might have a merger soon. Okay, well, that's exciting. Like, how can we work through that instead of just giving you a flat out blanket out that I won't see coming or that you won't see coming? Another way we could do this is, okay, you went out early, not a problem, but there's a fee. Maybe 50% of what's left in the contract, or a $200 fee. Just something that you know you're going to get your money back, especially if you had those upfront investments like onboarding and customization and those things. It's not always bad to have termination clauses. It's that we want them to reflect the type of agreement and business model you have. We don't want you to be blindsided for it being for any reason upon 30-day notice. that hurts. But if we say, I need this much notice and at least this much minimum contract term, you can't terminate for the first 2 years. Now you know you have a minimum 2-year contract no matter what. And then other things. So you want clear notice periods. You want to know if there's any types of fees. Maybe they lose the bundle discount. Whether anything is owed back to you. Hey, you don't pay in full through those 6 years? I get my product back. You don't get to keep my product and only pay for 90 days of 6 years worth. No, I want that back, right? The value exchange wasn't completed. So how can you get a termination clause without having to go to a lawyer, right? Because the termination clause is part of the business element, you do not need a lawyer to write you one, but you do want it customized for your business. I can promise you every medium and large company I've ever worked for does not have one of those generic lines. They have customized their termination clauses to do what's best for their business. Best for their business. And then if the client ever has a red line or asks questions about it, they can address them. Like I said, hey, you don't want to get through this 6-year agreement. Why not? Why do you want this red line? Let's talk it through so that we can be a partner through these 6 years, not me versus you or my revenue versus that, right? So this is one of the reasons I created the Aligned Clients Paid with Purpose program. So this program is literally, you're going to get a video that walks you through all of these different things, helps you understand how you might want to apply it to your business, what other businesses are doing or things that I've seen. And then it gives you the worksheet to copy paste the one you want right into your agreement. So you don't have to draft anything. You can do this yourself. It's right in there. Again, that video and then the worksheets, and that's module 3. You're actually going to get 3 incredible things, including how to get your clients to stop ghosting you, make sure your payments are on time, your projects end on time, how to get more money whenever your clients ask for extra things in ways that are encouraging and make positive client relationships, not ones that are just, I'm charging you for everything. This is about building aligned clients in your client agreements, and having great termination clauses is part of this, and make sure everybody knows you're working together and forward. Now, I already see some of the questions coming in, so let me get to those. Let me see, I got to switch over. Where is it? Okay. All right. Is it normal for clients to ask for termination for convenience? I would say in 2 different types of categories. When it's more one-on-one type businesses, you don't see it very often. I can say that medium and large businesses, they just do it as a matter of routine because they want as much flexibility as they can. So they're just going to ask for it even if they don't need it. Seriously, not 8 out of 10 times, I can just be like, why do you want that? And I'm like, oh, not really. It was just part of our process. I was like, okay, well, remove it. I'm not going to add a termination for convenience, like ever. Never. I'm not going to do a termination for convenience, but even a termination clause without understanding why we want this for this relationship, because both parties want to be on the same page. So when I say it's normal, not usually unless they're, trying to, I don't want to say get away with something. Because like I said, sometimes they might, like I might merge or I might get a new investor in the next year. I'm just not sure. So it's not always malicious. It could be good intent. They're just not ready to share that news. So they just try to be quiet about it. But you always have the right to ask because you don't have to accept red lines. You don't have to accept them. And if you have that customized termination clause, you won't have to worry about it because all that will already be in there for your business. Can I say no if a client, or yes, absolutely, absolutely. The thing about a client agreement is that it's an agreement. If you don't agree to those terms, don't accept them. This is your business model, how you want to do business with all of your clients. And you want to know how those contracts are supporting you in that. What is it going to do for your revenue? If you're worried that some of your clients can cancel and some of them can't, it creates uncertainty, where clarity and the ability to plan and move forward is really important in business success. So you can always say no if you're not comfortable with it. Like I said, whenever I see it, I usually use it as a talking point. Just start asking questions. Why is this how you want to proceed? Let's get on the same page so we can work together. How do I explain to the client why I don't allow termination for convenience? What I would say is I've seen this in 2 main ways. One, talk to them about your business model. in the beginning of this, we're going to do a lot of research and customization for you. And so we want to make sure that we have a full valued relationship where we get to implement that for you. You get to truly see the value out of what you're purchasing here, and that we get our return for supporting you through this, right? I always believe in communicating the value to the customer. Another way, my mind just went blank, why I don't allow it is that it doesn't really work great for them. Convenience, that's not really friendly for one another. To just terminate for any reason without warning, that's not kind to either of them, and they wouldn't want you to do that to them. So by clarifying and removing the termination for convenience, and for those of you who don't know termination for convenience means really because it's convenient. I can terminate for any reason without telling you. When we have that customization, there's still a termination. It's just not for any reason at any time for whatever. There's more communication, there's more awareness, and there's better planning for both sides of the business. What if I want to allow earlier termination but still want to be paid? This is great. So this is one of the things that there's a actual revenue worksheet for you in the Align Clients Pay with Purpose, is understanding, looking at where are your costs? Where does that revenue come back to you? And how do you make sure, based on where you are in that agreement, that you're getting that back? If 90% of your working cost is upfront, but you only 10% of the payment is, well, then we want that termination to have a fee or a percentage, something that, hey, you don't get to just walk away, but you can walk away by paying off 50% of the remaining amount. And there's all different types, from bundling, unbundling, discounts, so many of them. And I walk through them in the program. But ultimately, what do you need in your business? What does your business need to make sure that you're not losing money, that you're not going to feel used or worn out by giving so much heart and love up front, and making sure that the termination clause addresses that? All right. Did I get to everyone's questions? Ooh, I did. I love it. This is Friday, right? So much faster. All right. Next week, we have some major killer topics. How to stop endless revisions on design projects. So if you're in the design world, interior design or logo and marketing design, you're definitely going to want that. So how to stop endless revisions. Then we're going to go on to how to stop coaching clients from turning every package into unlimited support, right? Still getting those calls and those emails a year later. Oy, you have other clients that you're helping. How can we keep that within scope, within time, and making sure you're paid? And yet, most importantly, that the client boundaries are clear in a way that helps your relationship with your customers. And then our third topic next week is going to be how to say that is not included without getting paid for it, and without feeling guilty for it. I love it. This has been Acacia Thornton, the CEO Legal Coach, and this is the Align Business Series. You all have a great